It is literally just the area formulas that you should already know. This is not anything new. Some of the Delta math is like pulled from the 6th grade curriculum. Okay, like should be fairly easy. Things that are important is that the base and the height are always at a right angle. So when you highlight the base and the height, they should always touch at a right angle. Height, base. Like, they're always going to touch at a right angle. I feel like that's not focused. That's better. So, and this is for all area formulas, not just today. And you probably have seen the area of like a rectangle, square, parallelogram formula in a different form instead of base times height. And do you remember what else it was called? L and W, length times width. Yeah, we're not going to use that. We're going to use base and height. Base and height are always perpendicular, and then you just need a calculator and you need to multiply the numbers. Alright, so the base is 8, the height is 8.4, we're just going to multiply that. 8 times 8.4 is 67.2, and that's inches squared, which like in Delta you don't have to write inches squared, you just type the number in. But just make sure you know what area is, so like the area of this room would be multiplying the length, or you know, the base times the height, but one wall times another, the 2 walls that intersect at a right angle. But it's essentially, if you wanted it in square feet, it would just be how many of these square blocks are on the ground, the tiles, that would give you the area. I mean, hopefully you already knew that. But things that are important to know, like parallelogram up here is 14, down here is also 14. You're just going to multiply those. So like this one is 14 times 3 root 3, 14 times... But for this, you can just have it in decimals. That's fine. So 72, oh gosh, 72.7. I can't write. All right, and let's move on. This one's probably the most challenging just because it has like lots of different things. But we're going to say the height is this. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. I would like to keep it consistent with the colors. So the height is, we're going to keep it as yellow. We're going to put the height here. Remember the height and the bases always touch at a right angle. The difference is there's 2 bases here and the bases are parallel. The bases, and this isn't, oh, another thing for the height, this is also going to be the height. Because this is a right trapezoid, meaning, you know, the side is at a right angle. There we go. There's my bases. And then we're just going to plug these into the formula. So area equal. All right, so the height is going to be 7, and then you add 10 and 14. I mean, this really, as long as you can tell what the bases are parallel, the height's perpendicular to it, and as long as you plug it into the calculator correctly, then it's fine. I think the easiest way to plug it in the calculator is instead of writing 1/2, write 0.5. But you can do whatever you want. If you want to write the fraction in, you absolutely go for it. Times, parentheses, 10... plus 14, and that's fine. And you could also do 0.5 times 7 times 24 if you can just add those in your head. That's fine as well. But ultimately, it's going to be 84 for the answer. Let's see. All right, and then... okay, so here... I mean, I already kind of told you what this is, but the thing is, this looks like just like the ones in Delta are going to look, so... You don't need those 2, and I'm going to go ahead and cross it out on the notes so when you get to Delta, you don't accidentally put those in there. You don't need them. It's extra information. So the area is 1/2 times the height, which is 17.4, and then parentheses 11.6 plus 20.3. All right, so we're going to add those together. Or I like to, I don't know why I can't speak, but I like to type in 0.5. Times 17.4 times 11.6 plus 20.3, and then we get that number. So I will say that Delta Math wants you to round it to the nearest tenth, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do 277.5 instead of 5.3 because it's going to count it wrong if you do 5.3. Okay. Hopefully feeling okay. Again, so my height, I'm going to go through and highlight all my heights in the same color. And then I'm going to highlight my bases. There's only one base for a triangle, but there's 3 types of triangle problems here. This is just the super basic 1/2 base times height. And remember, you can also write base times height divided by 2. It's literally the same thing. So you could say BH over 2. That's also the same. But 1/2, 9.7 times 5.2. 0.5 times 9.7 times 5.2. 25.2. So that's centimeters squared. But remember, you are dividing it by 2 because it's like the same thing as having a rectangle, but it is cut in half. Any triangle is just half of a rectangle. For this one, it's an obtuse triangle, kind of weird looking, but just make sure this part is not counted here in our base, because then that would give us this area, which is not a part of the triangle. But they still have to be perpendicular to each other, so that's why this is drawn out here. This is actually an altitude, which long ago, back in like November, we drew altitudes on obtuse triangles, and it was kind of weird when we were doing points of concurrency. But if y'all don't remember that, that's fine. It's already drawn in for you. So 1/2 times 5 times 3.3. 0.5 times 5 times 3.3. And you're going to get 8.25. But we're going to say 8.3 because in Delta Math, it wants it to the nearest tenth. And I don't want you to accidentally get it wrong and then not know why it's wrong and have to do another problem. Okay, this is working backwards, which we are going to do this on Monday mainly, but today we're going to just throw one in because you might see one today on the Delta Math we're doing. But the area equals 1/2 base times height. So we're going to write the formula, we're going to plug in what we have, and you guys are good at algebra for the most part, so I don't think this is going to be all that much of an issue. But we are looking for our yellow. So like this is our question mark. We don't know what the base is. We do know what the area is. It's 29.25. I'm going to pause for just a second so you guys can have enough time to... Okay, you've got 2 options. Here's what people tend to mess up. If they want to get rid of this, you can either multiply this number times 6.5, so 1/2, cut 6.5 in half, or you could multiply, both sides of the equation by 2, get that out, and this doubles. Either way, I'm going to choose the first way. So I'm going to leave 29.25 the same. I'm going to take 6.5 and I'm going to cut it in half. So multiplying 6.5 times 1/2. But there are multiple ways to solve this, and none of them are the wrong way. I just have to pick one, so I choose that. And then I'm going to divide by 3.25 on both sides. And so B is going to be 9. So we have found the base is 9. We're going to turn the page. Okay, things that are important here. We are going to take the diagonals and we're going to multiply them. I'm actually not even going to use highlighters here. The diagonals, you just make sure it's like all the way across. A diagonal goes from one side to the other. So, I mean, on here, they're diagonal. Oh, y'all can't see any of that. Let's make sure we can see that. So the diagonal is the whole thing. So this diagonal is 8. It is not 4. This diagonal is 12. It is not 6. You've got to add them across. So 8 times, or 1/2 times 8 times 12, which 96 divided by 2 is 48. So 48 is going to be your answer. I don't know what the units are, so I'm just going to say 48. But then we get to this one, and these you will see in Delta Math, so make sure that you see what's going on. This 8.5 is just there to show you that it's a rhombus, and probably, confuse you. That's really, I guess, its purpose. I don't know. But I am going to say WY, and I am going to use a highlighter for this particular one just to show you which one goes with which. And then 15 is that. And we're going to do 1/2 times the two diagonals. Doesn't matter what order because there's no like addition or subtraction. It's just multiplying them all together. 7.6 times 15.1. So we're going to do 0.5 times 7.6 times 15.1. And we should be getting 57.4 inches squared. And, I mean, basically just read the directions each time, figure out how it wants you to answer, and there's 10th or however it asks. All right, find the area of a circle. All right, here is the area of a circle. There's just two ways to answer it, which one of the ways may be unfamiliar to you. So, you know, pay attention to this part. We're going to plug in 5 right here. And so the area is going to equal 25 pi. When it asks, so it's going to ask two different ways today. One of them will say in terms of pi. So in terms of pi is this way. 25 pi. You type pi into the answer. And then it says nearest 10th, or if it says decimal form on the particular problem, you're going to do 25, and then you're going to go ahead and multiply it out, and you're going to get a decimal. These are actually the same numbers. 78.5 is the same number as 25 pi. It just depends on how it asks you. So I think one of the sections on Delta Math asks for in terms of pi. Another section asks for the area in decimal form. That's the way you do it. You just type the pi answer into the calculator, and you will get the decimal. All right, last thing, a semicircle, just simply you take the area of a circle and you cut it in half. I mean, it's pretty easy. So the area is going to be, if it gives you the diameter, make sure you cut it in half and get the radius. 1/2 times pi times 4 squared. We're going to do this in terms of pi and decimal. So 1/2 times 4 squared is all we're going to type in the calculator, because for in terms of pi, we only type the numbers, not the pi. All right, so we get 8 pi, and then 8 pi is 25.1 centimeters squared. And those are both the answers. So this is in terms of pi. This is in decimal form. It just depends on how it asks.